And now, please welcome CEO of Ras Al Khaimah Tourism Development Authority, Raki Phillips, in discussion with Managing Director of Skift Advisory, Joe Naaman.
The baker had Simone, and everybody saw that she could do the job. The lawyer went to the baker and saw Simone at work. The lawyer hired John because the baker hired Simone. The baker hired Simone. The dentist went to the lawyer and saw John at work. The dentist hired Sophia because the lawyer hired John, because the baker hired Simone. The baker hired Simone.
Raki.
Joe, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Hope everyone's having a good afternoon so far. We're excited to be here. And Raki, when we were preparing for today's session, you said you have to play this video. First you asked if we knew this video. I hadn't seen it before. And then you said, please play this video at some point during this chat.
Yeah.
And I watched the video and I was like, we're going to play it at the very beginning of the chat because we're going to talk about something that's really important, which is accessibility. There are a couple of other topics that we're going to talk about, but why was this so important for you? Why did you want us to play the video? And then tell us a little bit more about the importance of accessibility for destinations.
So first of all, I asked for the full 1 minute and 40 seconds of the video, but the Skift guys were like, it'll bore everyone. So I'm glad we could give you guys a teaser. I recommend Google right now the hiring chain by Sting. So that's Sting that's singing. And I just saw this years ago, and it was such a cool video that showed you of the opportunity of hiring people that you can support and how that builds within the industry. In the UAE, we don't call them disabilities, we call them people of determination. And the impact that people of determination have on a business, there's no funner way to see than through this video. And the idea was tourism is a great contributor to the economy, it's a great contributor to female employment, it's a great contributor to accessibility around the world. And we just need to be able to continue doing the right thing to keep things growing.
It's such a great message because we work with many destinations, and yes, we talk about inclusivity and accessibility, but the fact that you wanted to bring it front and center is really important. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Ras Al Khaimah.
Correct.
Around this.
So actually the inspiration came from Skift last year. I don't know if you guys know, but I kind of like Skift. I went to the conference in New York, and it was great. But last year, there was a young lady who came here and presented her experience. She was chair-bound, and she was talking about her journey. And randomly, she said, I went to Ras Al Khaimah because I wanted to enjoy the beaches in Ras Al Khaimah. And she was pleasantly surprised that the beaches were accessible by chairs. I didn't know that. So then I went there, and we had a lovely conversation with her, and we looked at how we can make our destination more accessible. I met a gentleman called John Sage at the World Travel Tourism Council that was chairbound, and he helps destinations become a lot more accessible. So the first thing you think about is chairbound. And he was saying how you go into hotels, global brands that have handicap accessible rooms, but when you go into the shower, the switch to turn on the water is behind you. If you're trying to get on a bed or put a light switch, it's just labeled as handicap accessible, but it's not. Then we realized accessibility is not chair-bound. There's multiple things that impact. Dubai Airport does a wonderful thing where they have a sunflower, so when you walk through Dubai Airport, if you have a child who's autistic, there's a support system. So we looked at 5 different segments that require accessibility. So for example, allergies is one of them, which is quite common. I need to read them because I do forget, and I have Elka on my team who will kill me if I don't mention all of them. Mobility, sight, hearing, cognitive, and allergy. So what that means is, it doesn't mean you have to completely change the way you do things, but if someone is sensitive to sound or someone is sensitive to light, we can dedicate a separate check-in area to allow them to be able to have a great cognitive experience and do that. So us as a destination, we're embracing accessibility in all its forms, and we're going to be creating, through John Sage, the consultant, be able to create a way to make our destination truly accessible to everyone. How do you swim in the water if you're chair-bound? How do you check into a lobby that's loud if you have cognitive things? allergies, lights, and everything that's there.
And at least to my knowledge, I know many destinations across the world, across the Middle East, there's some sort of initiatives that they're taking to address this. But again, you're sort of putting this front and center as one of the things that you're working on to make sure that it's inclusive, and not just from the traveler's perspective, but I know when we chatted, you also talked about people behind the desks or behind the scenes and making it easier for them to go to work and support and train them to know how to interact and provide services to folks who need it.
Yeah, I mean, our industry is very welcoming. Ras Al Khaimah is the nature emirate. It's a lot more laid back. Things are moving pretty fast in the next couple of years. But we're a welcoming society. Arabian hospitality is beautiful, and there's no better way to showcase that than in hotels. So if we can learn how to make things even better for our customers and to do it destination-wide, I'm sure the hoteliers that are here do it. Zabil House is a hotel locally. I believe it's a Jumeirah brand. And when you go in there, there is a young gentleman who they call the mayor of the neighborhood, who is a person of determination. And he is so welcoming and so friendly. And throughout our lives, I hope everyone stays healthy. But there will come a point where we might need a wheelchair because we've broken a leg, or we need assistance at some point. We need to put that in place from now and not let it be a reactionary thing.
And I just want to react for a second. You said person of determination. I think perhaps most people in the UAE have heard that term before, but at least those who are outside the UAE, myself included, before we chat about it, it's such a beautiful way of talking about it, because it's putting the positive spin on what their superpowers are.
It is,
which is determination, right?
Absolutely. Every step that they take, there's a level of determination they have to do that is a little tougher than you and me or the average Joe. And from a business perspective, it's the right thing and it's the nice thing to do. But just from the level, if you want to talk numbers, it's a $6 billion industry. And I guarantee you, anyone who has someone in their life that has an element of determination, if you found out that this specific hotel or this destination caters to your needs, you will change your entire plan. I have 3 kids. You know, my son loves Paw Patrol. I will go to whenever Paw Patrol is playing just to make sure that he has a good time. Imagine if you had that with someone that needed a little support. And us as an industry, that's the least we can do.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Actually, somewhat related. We're going to talk about accountability. And for those of you who are asking about the final portion of the title that we have up on screen, we're going to get to that in just a moment and what we're actually going to talk about. But let's talk about, this leads well into accountability. What does it mean for destinations in general to take accountability? And what's the importance, especially for Middle East destinations, to also take accountability? What does that mean, first of all?
Sure. So the role of a DMO is no longer just marketing the destination. We play a pivotal role, especially in this part of the world, but we play a pivotal role to impact communities, to make livelihood better. Tourism is the biggest driver of livability in any destination. So we are accountable to make sure that things are done right. We took sustainability as one of our pledges as an emirate, but instead of it being something where we eliminated single-use plastic or reduced food waste, we took it to the next level where we took businesses and made them sign a pledge under the patronage of His Highness, the ruler of the emirate, where businesses went in and took a viable commitment of how they want to reduce waste, what they want to do to contribute. And to us, sustainability is not just environmental sustainability, but it's economic sustainability and cultural sustainability. So we took a pledge and we created a program in partnership with EarthCheck, which is one of the global leading sustainability companies that really audit your destination. They did a full audit of the destinations and gave us clear metrics of where we needed to be.
Tell us a little bit about that process.
It was pretty intense. So they came and they spent a couple of weeks in the destinations, met with all of the main hotels, all of the main businesses that contribute to tourism. Then, based on the 17 SDGs created by the UN, we went down Sustainable Development Goals. We went down the list and gave measurable tools for every single one of our businesses. And out of those 17 measurable tools, from the 30 businesses that committed as of last month, we have 19 that have passed a specific level of certification. That resulted in cost savings, that resulted in energy efficiency, but it also resulted in us being a more welcoming destination to people that matters to. And most modern day travelers, it's essential to have that prominent.
Absolutely. Okay, good. So we talked about accessibility, accountability, two topics that we wanted to explore, especially from a Middle Eastern perspective. We're going to get to the last topic that we have up on screen here, which is Indian weddings. And I know when we were preparing, it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, because the original title for this session was Unlocking Emerging Markets, and we somehow got into Indian weddings and the other topics, and we thought, what a great opportunity to talk about things that we don't always talk about, especially in the Middle East, like accessibility and accountability, but Indian weddings and emerging markets. So tell us a little bit about the importance of emerging markets for a destination like Ras Al Khaimah, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about the Indian wedding scene there too.
Sure. So I like to consider, just like we use the words of people of determination, I like to call Ras Al Khaimah a destination of the future. And we are definitely a destination that's moving fast. Right now, we contribute about 6% of the GDP of the Emirate. Within the next decade, we will be a third of the economy of Ras Al Khaimah. Ras Al Khaimah is growing. The things that we're bringing to the destination, whether it's the recent announcement of Wynn or some of the hotel projects that are coming on board, the expansion of our airport, everything we are doing is really moving the destination forward. So for us, that's super, super exciting to what we're doing. The Indian market is such a key market because it's right in our backyard. We have direct flights that fly into Ras Al Khaimah Airport. But from India, coming to the UAE is easy. Culturally, there's a lot of similarities. So when, I have a Swiss wife. We had an 80-person wedding in Italy. It was tiny. And then you go to an Indian wedding, and that is a party. If you haven't been to an Indian wedding, whether it includes elephants or not, it's a 5 to 7 day experience. And it is absolutely wonderful, and it is a great contributor to the economy.
Can you bring elephants to Ras Al Khaimah?
I'm sure we could. You might need a special permit, but we'll have to see. But for us, the Indian market is key. Year over year, it's grown 36%. Oh. It's a huge driving factor. And the destination, we can't host the big events like you would have here at the Atlantis, but we can do good-sized weddings that are around 500 to 1,000 people. MICE has been a big focus of ours. Our MICE numbers are up 46% year over year. But the Indian weddings come to a destination, but we're a destination of the future where we can work as a whole community to make sure you have everything that you need, from the police to the airport to the things that are important to you as a couple. We've got great incentives that we've put into place. Our meeting MICE incentive that we did. Entertainment's great. We've got a convention center that's right on the beach. Some wonderful hotels that are opening. The Anantara opens in a month. We've got the Waldorf, the Intercon. A lot that's happening in the destination, and we believe it's only going to continue being a booming place.
Okay, so that's Indian weddings. Let's focus a little bit on emerging markets in general. We talked a little bit about the Indian market. Maybe you can open our eyes a little bit more to what you're experiencing from an Indian market perspective, but also we talked about BRICS a little bit earlier. What are some of the other emerging markets out there that you're keeping your eye on? I know, full disclosure, we're doing a little bit of work with Ras Al Khaimah to help them understand that a little bit better, but maybe you could shed some light on that as well.
So we believe diversification is key. We looked at crisis that has happened throughout the world, the financial crisis in 2008. Or was it 9? Whenever it was.
Around that time.
Way behind us. If you rely on one specific market, whether it's currency devaluation, whether it's war, whatever the impact is, that has a huge impact on tourism. So diversification is very important to us. And almost all of our markets, there is no one market that has more than a 15 to 20% share within the destination. Things fluctuate and change depending on the situation. But for us, we realized that diversification is important. So we targeted markets pretty early on. Kazakhstan was one of the first markets that we went into. Uzbekistan's another one. And we now see Kazakhstan in our top 5 markets. Uzbekistan has creeped up now in the top 10 markets. But we look at anything where, so if you take Ras Al Khaimah and you go west, anything in Europe we've done great in. The CIS market has done really, really good. Now we're focused
You're looking east.
As we head towards China, we really, India onwards, that's where we're putting a lot of focus. Mega projects like the integrated resort with Wynn is a big driver of this for the future, but we're building the foundation now so that by the end of the decade, we can more than triple the number of tourists that we are welcoming today. Very few destinations have been able to do this in their timeline, and we're confident that you guys can help us a little bit and our tourists, but our hope is that with the expansion of the airport, with really the positive, aggressive things that we're doing, I think we'll be able to achieve that.
And tell us a little bit about some of the more tactical things that you might be doing to welcome folks from emerging markets. And what advice might you have for other similar destinations in the region, whether bigger or smaller than Ras Al Khaimah, that you would want to give them focusing on emerging markets?
So as a destination of the future, we're blessed. We don't have bureaucracy. We can move pretty fast. We can pivot. We can make some good deals happen. And recently at the World Travel Market in London, we announced an MOU signing with Musandam and the governor of Musandam. And what we did is we are, in 2024, at the beginning of 2024, we are launching borderless and frictionless travel between Ras Al Khaimah and Oman. And the way we do it is you as a tourist would check into one of our hotels, book one of our packages that include a day trip to Musandam, and you will cross through the border without any challenges. There are security measures that are being put into place, but we're making it frictionless. So when you think about us punching above our weight, trying to do things a little bit different, doing this tie-in with Oman is a great thing because basically you get to stay in Raki, you have all the wonderful hotels that we have, but if you haven't been to Musandam, they have some of the most stunning beaches in the destination. And a day trip, whether it's a day cruise or whether it's by boat, it's an hour-and-a-half drive. It's wonderful. I think yesterday I was in Doha for the day. I met with the new CEO of Qatar Airways. We have direct flights that come from Doha directly to Ras Al Khaimah Airport, and we are looking at how can we partner with Qatar Airways to be able to do regional experiences. The announcement of the Schengen-style GCC visa that allows you to travel, this is huge for tourism. This is huge for mobility. And I think us as Ras Al Khaimah will potentially benefit more than some other places in the GCC.
I mean, that's I know my personal mission. We do a lot of work in the Middle East, and I would love to see more collaboration, and especially from the experience side. Like you just mentioned in Musandam, because you come to the Middle East, especially if you're coming from further away, like China or the U.S. You don't want to necessarily come back in a couple of months, for example, unless you're from India. You can come pretty often. So how do you connect all these different destinations within the Middle East to create a nice, holistic experience? And so I love that you're thinking about that with Oman. And I know we're going to be speaking with Visit Oman a little bit later as well, and we're going to touch on that too. One of the things that someone mentioned to me not long ago is that those travelers, established travelers, tend to go to established destinations, and emerging travelers, there's an opportunity for us to capture them in emerging destinations, perhaps like Ras Al Khaimah. Do you agree or disagree with this statement, and what might it mean for you?
I can understand how that comment can make sense, but I think people have a sense of adventure regardless of whether they're a sophisticated traveler or an emerging traveler. We're blessed in Ras Al Khaimah that we're 45 minutes outside of Dubai and the Dubai International Airport. This is an established destination. 12% of the country's GDP is driven by tourism. This is an oil-rich nation. 750,000 people work in this industry. So we're very blessed to be in a country where tourism is a key driver to it, and it is established. So we really cater to both. I do think people are looking for experiences. People are looking for adventure. People are looking for a destination that offers them accessibility and sustainability as a key part of their ethos. I think we are going to be ready to welcome tourists from all over the world. This is one of the few places in the region that has taken tourism to the next frontier. There is no conversation that you have in the world about tourism where Dubai and the UAE and this part of the world doesn't get mentioned, and we complement that significantly with our offerings. So I'm optimistic that we'll be able to welcome every nationality and every type of person moving forward.
And just final thoughts in general, we're talking about destinations. So, we talked about accessibility, accountability, going after emerging markets. Any final thoughts that you want to share with other destinations that are looking to continue to progress, continue to grow? The trends have been going in a very positive direction, especially for the Middle East. Any final thoughts that you would like to leave destinations or organizations that work within destinations, whether they're tour operators or tech companies, that you would like to leave anyone with?
Well, I think there is nothing more important than having a collaborative approach. Healthy competition is wonderful. I am someone who loves competition, but I find a much better way where you can compete collaboratively, and we've been able to do that. I think when you look at other parts of the world where it can be quite testy or there might be other challenges, in this part of the world, and especially the UAE being such a leader when it comes to the things that we do, we want to be able to be welcoming and collaborative in our approach. And whether it's the airlines, whether it's the hotel companies, whether it's the destinations, the visa processing, the ease of taking away the burden of travel. So we're both Americans. We travel in the US, and going through an airport in the US can be challenging sometimes. We want to find where those friction points are and eliminate them, and help make travel more accessible.
Excellent. Good. Raki, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Raki Phillips, everyone.
Thank you, guys.